Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Matt will allow you to record today's session, but just a reminder that we will be sending this recording after later this evening. If you have questions for Coach or the players who will come after him, please, a reminder to alert me through the chat. And Matt, are we ready to go?
We are ready to go.
Thank you so much. Coach, your thoughts on today's performance?
Well, I always thought from the outset this was going to be a really tough task. Orlando, for the first time I think in the games that we've played, starting in this first phase of the schedule, showed at their place what a very talented and I think competitive side they were, a bit fresher, in a better spot than we were, I believe, at their place. And I thought this was going to be a real test for us, and it proved that. However, there were, after I thought a bit of a scrappy first half from our point of view, what could only be classed as an absolutely fantastic strike from one of their players has given them a half-time lead. Aside that, I felt it was we made some corrections to the way we played at their place. We got ourselves into some reasonable spots, but showed a lack of quality. The second half started off on a completely different note, and I think it identified what we are capable of if we can only produce that in a more consistent fashion. So the second period was certainly a far better one for us from that standpoint, and in the end, a very, very good point.
Thank you, Coach. We will now open the floor for questions, and we will begin with a question from Tim Sullivan from Port Club and Country. Tim?
Hey, Gary. How relieving is it, obviously for Randall, but also for you, to see him finally get on the scorecard?
Absolutely. It's just nice to see those two combine. There was a real energy about the opening exchanges, and delighted to see those two in the thick of it. We've been in some very, very good positions, and Randall probably more so than Hany has had some, great chances to open his account and hasn't been able to. So it was very, very pleasing not only to see him score, but obviously to get ourselves back on track so early and give the group a lift in that second period.
We'll go on with a question from Gentry Estes with the Tennessean.
Yeah, Gary, how would you rate Hany's plays so far this season? And for a team that's looking to score a little more, what do you see his role in that? What would you like to see him maybe do a little more of as you go here?
Well, I've said multiple times that I believe the creative players and that connection and synergy in what is a vital area, you've got to play quickly. You've got to show disguise and finesse in tight areas and under lots of pressure. It can be the last areas of the team to really fire on all cylinders, as it were. Hany's a very, very talented lad. And listen, let's not forget, he's come from Europe. He's had to readapt. We're living through some real difficulties, stop-start season. We discussed the fact that in our first 4 games of the restart, Hany had jumped on 4 flights and played 4 games and got back home at, an hour or hours that he could only have dreamed about when he was in Europe. And there's a lot of adapting in his world, let alone in his game. He's running into opponents that he's not seen before. He's working with individuals in his own team that he's still trying to build relationships with. I see flashes of the quality that he's capable of. And I think with all of our creative players, not just Hany, we're just looking for a bit more consistency. There's no questioning their aptitude and attitude to the work of supporting the team and being team players. But slowly but surely, we're starting to see some signs of what they're capable of with the ball, and certainly in front of goal.
We have another question from a member of the Tennessean Leal.
Gary, I remember after the Atlanta game, you talked about a conversation you had with Randall at halftime just about a particular run that went a little bit arid between him and a teammate that could have sparked a counterattack, and how that communication is still building. Did you have a similar conversation with Randall at halftime about maybe his link-up play with Hany and with maybe even Dominique or even Anibal at some point? Or was that just the goal anyway? Was that just him taking responsibility and taking initiative to have a different second half than a first half?
I mean, there was a discussion at halftime about 2 or 3 areas of the game, and certainly that was one of them. In the first period, it was far too easy for their defensive shape and their team organisation to deal with 2 of our most creative players. Randall spent too much time in front of defenders and in a position where he was easy to mark, or certainly found it very, very tough to get away from anyone. There were 2 instances where he stayed wide and got himself in good positions, and he actually created on his own 2 shooting opportunities. Same applies to Hany. Slightly differently with Hany, when we're building out, he's got a bit more license to come and overload areas, but he's at his very best when he's behind midfield players, in front of defenders, getting in those half pockets and on a half turn, and asking some serious questions of the back line. Second half, he did that more often. And look, we're going from game to game where we're spending more time making sure the players recover, and they're physically in the right place, and they're being looked after in that fashion. And we're having very, very little time to work as a group under no stress or pressure. All of the developments coming in match play with points being played for. And that's always difficult. And I think these guys are doing a fabulous job as a brand new group with all of the troubles that we've had to deal with. And I don't think anyone should forget that. We've had 3 breaks and 3 pre-seasons. And these guys are now, 5, 6 games into the new phase, 5 games. We'd played 5 pre-season games. We were off for 5 months. So, they're doing a wonderful job. Can we improve? Absolutely.
Thank you, Coach. We have another question from Ben Wright with Steve with Soccer.
Gary, it felt a little bit like in the first half the midfield was maybe a little bit overrun, which was one of the first times I think we've seen that this season. Do you think that's a fair assessment? And what changes and what instructions did you give at halftime to really turn that around in the second half?
Well, there were 2 areas that we all felt they took some serious advantage of us down in Orlando. One was down the right-hand side or out wide in general. Their fullbacks did a wonderful job. Good combination play. They looked very, very bright. And the other one was the Pereira getting in the pockets and asking some very, very big questions about midfield players. I would disagree with you, Ben. I thought they had some nice possession, and the majority was in front of us. Other than the actual goal, which was a wonderful strike, I don't remember too many moments that I was worried that they might extend their lead, which tells me they spent a lot of time in front of us. And the 1 or 2 of the troublesome spots, I felt we dealt with very, very well. The difficulty for us was actually building and gaining some traction in the game. We squandered the ball too easily. It wasn't precious enough to us. And in the second half, I thought the team did a much, much better job of just working Orlando over and making them run and asking them some defensive questions. And that started from almost the first 2 or 3 minutes of the second half. So I was happy with the way the players went about their business. We had a plan. We got beat 3-1 down there after actually creating a ton of chances early on. But as the game went on at their place, you know, it became ever more difficult to contain them. Tonight's a different question. I see improvement. I felt as though we suffocated a very good team, and we found ourselves with less chances than usual, but still managed to come away from this game with a point, which is very, very important to us.
We have another question from another member of the Speedway Soccer, David Shepherd.
Hey, Gary, Davey Shepard here. Have you been forced because of the compressed schedule to rotate more than you would normally like to do at center forward? And do you think that's maybe kept one of those guys from getting into a rhythm that they otherwise might find?
You're spot on. I think there are multiple positions, as you see, the wide areas. I've tried to keep some continuity in the back line, but those guys are getting for a ton of work. Two central midfield players are very, very important to this group. But, we've seen Brian Anunga and Derek Jones offer some support there, and we're sure to see that in the future again as well. But you're right. If you're asking players to be explosive, if you're asking them to take chances and to offer themselves up in exciting areas, it takes a lot of energy, a lot of willingness, and you're not always rewarded for it. And Dominic worked tremendously hard in the first half, but I think we all could have been forgiven for forgetting he was out there. He had little to no opportunities or sights to goal. But the second period, we started to see a little bit more connection and understanding, and the game opened up for him a bit more. But, that's an area of the field we have to try and keep fresh. It's the focal point of the team. And, there is more rotation, and there will continue to be.
We have a follow-up question from Tim Sullivan with For Club and Country.
Gary, you guys came on strong in the second half, and you've already talked about some of the reasons behind that. How much does not having to travel day of the game, the guys being able to prepare kind of in the way that they're most comfortable at their homes, play into having a strong second half?
I think it helps enormously. I saw an Orlando team there that was starting to show some signs of fatigue, as you might expect. When we faced them just over a week ago, I believe, they'd had 6 games down in Orlando. They'd had an opportunity just to recover and regroup. And if I'm not mistaken, they'd been beaten down in Miami, and we're back at home and we're firing on all cylinders. Tonight, they showed the signs. It's not easy. You get up early in the morning. You want to get to your venue as early as you can so the players can settle in, have a rest, possibly even a sleep, get the right food in order. They're not in their natural surrounds. And, tonight, not just tonight, I felt as though we showed some very, very good signs against Miami. And there's 2 games at home now since the difficulties that we had and this new restart. I've seen some really positive aspects of our game. And I think the players, just as importantly, are starting to find some relationship with this stadium, field, and the surrounds and game day situation. We'd had one game before that, don't forget. And, we've now come back and earned ourselves 4 points. It's a very decent tally against 2 very good groups. And, it bodes well, hopefully, for the future.
We have one more question for Coach Smith, and that will come from Drake Hills with the Tennessee. And Drake?
Yeah, Gary, when Nashville does earn points, it's through multiple occasion or multiple details, right? So the consistency of playing in the same venue, having a setup where maybe they know what's going to happen. Maybe they know the squad is kind of like on a 2-part schedule, right? Playing some players against Miami, knowing that they're probably not going to play as much against Orlando and vice versa, i.e. Dax, coming off the bench against Miami and then obviously starting tonight. Is it easy to say for you that consistency, if Nashville SC can just get some consistency with schedule, with players, rotation, and maybe many others, do you think that you could also have some consistency in results as well?
Oh, I think you've seen some consistencies in our game in terms of the way that the group have developed a spirit and understanding on the field. I'd like to think that we don't look like a team that have just been put together in this first year. There's far more appreciation of what they're trying to achieve. But to your point, of course, this is no normal year. We've played 5 games in 21 days after a 5-month break or more. We've played 4 of those games in the early stages away from home. It's a really, really tough turnaround for us. And, whilst there are some things we definitely can improve on, slowly but surely, I think you're seeing not just the team, but individuals as well warming to the stadium, the city, their teammates, the league, their opponents. They're understanding more and more, what playing for Hany and Randall, maybe more so for Hany. He's come from Europe where I doubt very much he's experienced the type of humidity and heat that he has to deal with every day of the week now. So it puts a huge demand with the travel on any individual. So look, I'll be the first to be critical if need be, but I think you're seeing a group of players slowly but surely that are showing good signs and they're starting to form some sort of identity.
Thank you, everyone. We will now be joined by the goal scorer, Randall Leal, and the assist giver, Hany Mukhtar. Please hang in there for a few minutes as we get them ready. Hello, everybody. Thank you for waiting for us. Here with us, we have Randall Leal and Hany Mukhtar. We will begin by getting Randall's reaction from scoring his first goal in Major League Soccer.
No, I'm very happy. I'm very happy, but we go home disappointed, because we want to win. But it's okay. Now we have 4 points in 2 games. Now we have to go to Miami and try to get the 3 points, and then go higher in the table. Now we know that the other teams have like 2-3 point maximum, so we can get them. So now it's time to recovery, to try to be good for Sunday.
Hany, you provided the assist today. How did the play come around?
Yeah, it was. We trained for a long time now together, and today finally we find each other, and the connection will get better with more games, and I'm looking forward.
All right, we will now open the floor for questions, and we will begin with a question for you, Randall, from Drake Hills with the Tennesseans. Drake?
Randall, congratulations on the goal. And I wanted to ask you about what happened at halftime. Was a conversation between you and Gary, or was that something that maybe you just changed your mind with a good attitude and came out and scored? What was the difference at halftime?
Thank you so much, Drake. No, I think in the halftime he spoke with us. He was technically was not good. He was give a lot of ground pass and everything, and he told we know that in the second half we have to show something more, and we can do it. So I think the second half we go to the pitch with other men and everything, and then we get the first goal quick, and then we try to take the ball to score the second goal, but well, it's okay. Now we cannot do nothing and we draw.
We'll follow up with a question from Gentry Estes, also with the Tennessean for you, Hany.
Yeah, Hany, how do you feel like the season has gone for you so far, and are you how comfortable are you, with a new team, new country, new league? Where do you feel like you're at right now?
Yeah, of course. Obviously, I hope they scored more goals or made more assists. But in the end, it's more important that the team is successful. I try to do my best to help the team as much as possible. But yeah, for me, it's a tough year. I don't want to find excuses or anything. I need to work hard and come to my level where I really can help the team with more goals, or with goals and with more assists.
All right, we will go on with a question from Dean Sullivan for you, Randall.
Randall, you've looked frustrated at times over the course of this season. Do you think this goal will give you confidence going forward?
No, I think it's not frustrated. We was losing, so of course we are at home. We cannot lose. So we was not doing well, and that happened. I think we have to win all the games here in home. So always is present. Now I think the goal is the less important for the moment. The important is then we are getting points, important points, and we have to go forward.
We have a follow-up question from Drake for the two of you.
Both of you have not necessarily played every minute in this restart, but you've been playing a lot, just like the rest of your teammates. Though both of you are new to MLS, new to the humidity, new to the environment, are you guys taking care of yourself maybe a little bit differently off the field, nutrition-wise, with the physios? Is there something different that you guys are doing to stay fit and stay away from fatigue?
Yeah, of course, we need to do everything because we have so many games now in a short period of time. So, yeah, actually, I can't remember when we had the last time day off. So, but that's also a good thing because we had a lot of time where we need to quarantine, and so it's good for us now to have the games. And yeah, for me personal, I need to work harder, and then everything will come with the time.
Yeah, personally, for the moment, the games are too quick, so I think we have no time to do extra things outside of training. So I think we just play, training, sleep, play, training, sleep. So for the moment, we have to take care. We have a lot of games too quick every 4 days. So the most important is to take care of us and wait. I think the time to go out to do extra things outside the training is coming. For the moment, we have to take care.
We have another question for you, Hany, from Gentry Estes as well.
Yeah, Hany, obviously coming in, did you feel any pressure to try to perform right away, with a new team? That can't be easy, given that you're still kind of getting comfortable to a lot of things, and yet, the number 10 jersey, there's a lot, that I think was expected of you.
No, I don't feel pressure to be honest. I'm a player. I have always high standards to myself, and to get better and get better. For me personally, I never played with this heat. So for me, it's the biggest difference. And the league is very physical. But yeah, I need to get used to it. It needs sometimes time, but I will do everything what I can do to do my best and to get there where I see me and where the other people see me.
And we have time for one more question. This one will come from Claudio Villalobos for you, Randall.
Randall, two questions in one. Was there a special dedication after this goal? And what are your words for the many fans in Costa Rica that are celebrating your first goal with Nashville?
No, I'm happy because my family is here. You know, my team is good for them. They cannot come to watch the game, but they are at home. Watch the game. They are waiting for me, so it's good, you know. But the most important is that we are playing good. We are growing up the team. So for the moment, we have to keep working and don't look like personally what you do personally. You know, we have to see what we do like a team.
And then, Randall, I may put you on the spot. Would you be able to repeat that in Spanish, please? So,
sí. No, me siento muy feliz porque mi familia está aquí, Claudio, como usted sabe, creo que ellos pues vean el esfuerzo que hacen dentro de la cancha. Lastimosamente no pueden venir al estadio, pero están en la casa apoyándome, esperando que llegue para darme las felicitaciones. La gente igual que no son mi familia, pero yo los quiero como parte de mi familia, que están aquí en Bélgica también felices. Creo que eso es lo más importante. Pues en Costa Rica se espera mucho los legionarios y es bueno que uno vaya a tomar el ritmo después de un parón de, pues creo que 4 o 5 meses, y lo más importante es seguir pues levantando el nivel, que el equipo siga creciendo y tratar de dar lo mejor por Nashville.
Thank you. Congratulations on today's performance, and we look forward to seeing you.
Thank you so much. Bye.